Okay, we are seeing chapter 3. Which is the verse that we are doing?
We stopped at 19, Swamiji.
19. Yep. Yes. 19th also we saw. Taking a life to Karma Yoga, how you will gain everything in life. Correct? So any questions or clarifications on that? Up to the 19th, up to and including the 19th verse, any questions, any clarification? If there are, shoot. Happy to handle them. All clear? I assume everyone has understood what is being talked about?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then, in the next verse, Krishna is giving an example. It is one thing to give you a certain logic that by a life of Karma Yoga you can get it. You need not take to sannyasa. Is one thing to say that. And especially when you are seeing that most of the teachers are sadhus who are worthy of being called teachers. Okay? There are many other people who talk. I keep getting so many messages saying join this meditation, join that meditation, etc. All talked about by people who know nothing about these things. Okay? Yeah. That's a different thing. But when you know that most of the teachers are full-timers into this, they have no other pursuit in life, and it becomes necessary to give an example, well-known examples of people who have lived a life of Karma Yoga and gained this knowledge. Therefore, in the next verse, Krishna gives that example. In the 20th verse of the 3rd chapter, Krishna gives that example. What does he say? Karmanyevaihi samsiddhim asita janakadayah loka sangrehe maivapi samspashyan kartumarhasi. He says karmanyeva, by living a life of karma, meaning a karma yoga. Samsiddhim astitaha, samsiddhim astitaha. They achieved the goal of moksha, of self-knowledge. They achieved it. Why? Because remember one thing, and never forget to highlight this. Karma Yoga is not only doing your actions with a particular attitude of Ishwararpanam and Prasada Buddhi, but along with that pursuing the knowledge. Otherwise, no samsiddhi, okay? You'll be a good samatvam you will have, and kaushalam you will have, nothing more than that. But to gain that moksha, you have to be pursuing the knowledge. And therefore he gives the example of Janakadaya, Asita Janakadaya, Janaka, etc. Why? Because these in our history, in the history of India, Bharat, these are the people who are held in high esteem. Janaka, Rama, etc. They are held in high esteem. Therefore, these people, okay, all of them, he says, gained moksha by living a life of karma. In fact, there is a very well-known verse which talks about that. He says, Shuka's Tyagi. Shuka, the son of Vyasa, was a Tyagi right from early life. Tyagi. Krishna Bhogi. Another example. Krishna Bhogi. Krishna lived a life of bhoga, of enjoyments only. Okay. Nripau Rama Janako. Rama and Janaka were kings. They ruled kingdoms, fought wars. Vasishta Karmakarta cha. Vasishta was the Rajaguru of the Ishwaku dynasty. He saw kings coming and going. But as a Rajaguru, you have to do a lot of things. Therefore, Karmakarta cha. Panchete Jnanina Smritaha. These are the 5 great jnanis known historically. Historically, these are the 5 who are known. That means what? That he is demonstrating that, hey, people before you have done it, you too can do it. Though some periods of intense study, etc., may be necessary, but it can be done. Can be done. Therefore, Asitaha Janakadeyaha. And not only that, Loka Sangraha Evapi. Even looking into the welfare of the world for those people who are in a position to be doing something about it, okay, are not others. Loka Sangraham Evapi. Some Pashyan, looking at that, he says, Kartumarhasi. Certain things deserve to be done. Deserve to be done. Why? Because for the larger good of public, sometimes you have to do things like this. Yeah, Kartumarhasi. The classical case of this was Bhishma. Okay. Talking in the historical context, we can talk at it differently also, but in the historical context. You know the story. Bhishma gave up his kingdom. Not only kingdom, the right to romance and have children, etc. He gave it up because that was what the fisherman chieftain, Satyavati's father, wanted. If his father had to marry Satyavati, this was the demand. So Bhishma happily gave it up. No problems. Then he thought, okay, maybe time for me to devote myself more to spiritual pursuits, because kingdom anyway I don't have. I don't have to bother about that. But father required his help for some time, so he stayed on. Then the father fell ill. The princes were young. Father dies. Lot of strife in the kingdom. Politics being played. So Bhishma had to step in and take care of the kingdom until the princes grew up old enough to take care of it. Loka Sangraha. Until the princes are old enough to rule the kingdom, I will manage the kingdom. Then up to the princes. Anyway, it is there only. I am only managing it in their name. I am not even sitting on the throne. No. When they both came of age, he got them both married. Chalo, time for me to walk away. Sadhu ban jayega. One falls ill and dies, the other dies in battle. The kingdom is left without a heir. Then through Niyoga, surrogate fatherhood, both the queens gained 2 children. Now the kids are young. What is Bhishma to do? Loka Sangraha. Okay, I'll hang on a little bit longer. Kids grew up. One of them blind, therefore he couldn't rule the kingdom. Not because we are against disabled people, but those days kings led armies in battle. They didn't sit in the palace and send young men and women to die. No, they led the armies themselves. Even however old they were, they led armies to battle. Okay. In fact, in the Mahabharata, there is a story of a king, a great warrior, Jadabharata and his elephant. Okay. His forehead was so wrinkled that his eyes would become droopy and he wouldn't be able to see clearly. So he would pull up his wrinkled forehead and tie a bandana across and then ride into battle on his elephant. How old he must have been. So this was the condition. But you can't afford a blind king leading an army to battle. These are all seasoned warriors. They are not unseasoned warriors who will run away like on the line of actual control. Yeah. The opposite side, I mean. Okay. Yeah. They're battle hardened warriors, these are. You can't have a blind man leading them. It won't work. It won't work. So because of that, Dhritarashtra couldn't rule. Then Pandu was there. But Pandu had a curse. Therefore he goes to the forest to atone for the sin he has committed. Can you see Bhishma's position? For Loka Sangraham he kept himself in the palace. Never a crowned king. No interest in having the power and pelf of a kingdom. Only Loka Sangraham for the good of the kingdom. I will do what it takes. And nobody realized what an ocean of wisdom he was until he was lying on the deathbed, on the bed of arrows, and in the Bhishma Parva of Mahabharata. And Krishna tells everyone, there is an ocean of wisdom waiting for his death. Let us go and drink of that ocean of wisdom before he goes. Then he suddenly they realized what depth of wisdom Bhishma had. That is another story, but some other time. Okay. What I am trying to say is Loka Sangraham. There are a lot of people. India has always produced people who will do what is good for the common man. Not sit down and cry, sit down and criticize, sit down and crib about what's happening in the country. Always we had people who would put their shoulder to the task and get things done. And that's one of the greatness of Bharata. Of Bharatavarsha, that's one of the greatness. You always have people. Whether it is a battlefield, the political field, the social field, or smaller areas, we always had people. That Loka Sangraham was a very great ideal in Indian thinking. What you do for common good. Okay? Therefore, Krishna says, even looking at Loka Sangraham, you should fight this battle. One, because your brothers rely on you to handle. Who can stand up against Bhishma, Drona, Karna, etc. Ashwatthama? Only you can. Others will not be able to. You have some chance. Okay? Against Bhishma, Drona and all, you have some chance. Maybe with my help you will have a bit better chance. That's why I agreed to be your charioteer. Okay? You have some chance. Others will not be able to stand up to these two mighty warriors. Therefore, Loka Sangraham, if you don't want the Pandava army to be wiped out, if you want Dharma to win, that is Loka Sangraham. Please stay, follow a life of Karma Yoga rather than Sannyasa, he says. And he gives you a very important rule of leadership here. Okay? In the next verse. Okay? These are not the main topics of the Gita. The main topic of the Gita is moksha. For moksha, lifestyle. But these are all in the passing but important lessons. Okay? Yad yad acharati sreshtaha tattadeva itarayo janaha sa yat pramanam kurute lokaha tad anuvartate. Yad yad acharati sreshtaha. The sreshta, the leaders, the people who are looked up in society, they are called sreshta. Yad yad acharati, what they do, what type of a lifestyle they follow and they do. Tattadeva itare janaha. The society will follow what the role models are doing. What the role models are doing. They will follow, he says. Sa yat pramanam kurute. What he holds up as the standard. Okay. Lokaha tadanu vartate. The people will follow that. So, who set the standards? What today in today's world you will call influencers. Influencers are not leaders, okay? They are popular people. Why? Because there is a crisis of leadership. If in the world today people are following influencers and not leaders, there is a crisis of leadership. Okay? Yeah. Very few good leaders to really follow in the world today. And what the leaders will, they will always come down. If the leader is dharmic, the people will emulate that. If the leader is adharmic, the people will become 10 times worse. We saw in the last years of the UPA government. Wholesale loot of the country. Everyone became corrupt. Now to set it back and get honesty, integrity, oh my God, it will take 25 years. And all the secrets are coming out even more. Even then people knew, but there was no proof. Now everything is coming out. Therefore, yadyata charati sreshta taddadeva itere janaha. Therefore, he says, set an example. If you withdraw from battle today, expect half the army to withdraw. Because you are the one who is held as esteemed. We follow Arjuna. It is true, Drishtadyumna is the commander-in-chief of the army. That is true. But on this side, Arjuna and Bhima were the people that were being followed. In fact, wherever the soldiers were faltering, if you read the description of the Mahabharata battle, wherever the soldiers are faltering and retreating, Bhima or Arjuna walks into that scene, right into that scene. There is renewed vigor coming up. Why? Arey, here we are. Here we are. How can we fall when we are led by somebody like him? How can we fail? Yad yad acharati sreshta. This is true across ages. This is one of the universals. One of the universals. Applicable even in Kali Yuga. Okay? Yad yad acharati sreshta. Taddadeva itere janaha. Then Krishna gives his own example. Hey buddy, look at me, he says. Okay? When he look at me, Name partha asti kartavyam trishu lokeshu kinchana na anavaptam aptavyam varta eva cha karmani. He says, look at me. Name partha asti kartavyam. There is nothing that I have to do. Trishu lokeshu kinchana. In the three worlds, as Ishvara, I have set everything in motion. Remember, he is always speaking from the standpoint of Ishvara. Okay? I set everything in motion. The infrastructure is set up. The order is there. It will take care of itself. Name parthasti kartavyam trishu lokeshu kanchana. Na anavaptam aptavyam. There is nothing that I have to achieve. That is not yet achieved by me that I have to achieve, including moksha. I am the source of the knowledge anyway. Now, but varte eva cha karmani. I am always engaged in action. Look at Krishna's life. He is killing asuras as a baby. As a baby, people are coming to kill him. And he was destroying them. From there onwards, varte eva cha karmani. I have engaged myself in action. Therefore, you do the same. That's the idea. If I can do it and be rooted in this knowledge, so can you. You also do it. And what will happen if I don't do? He says, Yadi hi aham na varteyam jatu karmani atindritaha mama vartma anuvartante manushyaha partha sarvashaha. He says, and he says, Yadi aham na varte. If I were not going to engage myself in action, jatu karmani ata indrataha, without any laziness or slackness in it. If I were not to do it, he says, mama vartma anuvartante. People will follow me only. All people would follow Sarvashaha. At all times they will do the same thing. Why? Because again in the history of that time, Krishna was one of the most popular figures there. In Mahabharata, at the time of the Mahabharata, Krishna was one of the most popular figures. Yeah. Krishna did, then okay, fine. He set the standard for things. But that time, they recognized what Krishna said. Therefore, nobody said, in those days, nobody said, okay, वो करे तो रास लीला, हम करे तो character ढीला. Nobody said that because they knew what he was. Okay, they knew what he was. Yeah, they were very clear what Krishna was. Therefore, they never had this problem. They never had that problem. They knew. Therefore, he says, I have to take care of things. And if I don't do, what will happen? Look at what will happen, he says. Utsideyuhu ime lokaha na karyam karma chaidaham sankarasya kartasyam upahanyu me imam prajaha. He says, if I don't do, what will happen? Utsideyuhu lokaha na karyam karma chaidaham. Okay, now little bit here, he is also talking about as Ishvara. Okay, he says the whole world will be destroyed. If I don't function as Ishvara and do what I have to do as Ishvara, then this worlds would perish. Sankarasya kartasyam, and I will be the cause of confusion, he says. Upahanyu vyamam praja, and all these people will be destroyed. Not only as Ishvara. If you look at Krishna's life, if you study the Mahabharata, of course the Bhagavatam also describes his life, but I prefer the description of his life in the Bharata rather than in Bhagavatam. Because, yeah, in Bhagavatam there is more things available about his childhood days. Okay? So that's why you hear all the stories of Makkan Chor and all the Rasa Leela and all that. That's more in the Bhagavatam. In the Mahabharata, it is mentioned only in passing. But if you look at his life as a totality, he strode across the ancient Bharata. He strode across that land. There were many kingdoms. One Bharata, okay? One Bharata Desha. One Bharata Desha. Okay? From the Indus to the Brahmaputra. From Kailasa to Sagara, to the ocean. One Bharata Varsha. Many kingdoms were there. We were a very highly federal setup those days also. And Krishna was a person who strode across that, across the length and breadth of this country, establishing kings, uprooting kingdoms, those who are adharmic, etc., like Jarasandha, etc., uprooted. Okay? Either by war or personal combat or strategy, done. Strode across. He had nothing to gain. He didn't wish to be the emperor. That was the person who was ruling Hastinapura. You think Krishna couldn't have become emperor if he wanted to? He was not even the crowned king. He didn't want it. His cousin was the king of Dwaraka. Though we call Krishna Dwarakadish, etc., वो तो प्यार से, he was the king of hearts. Okay. He was not the king. If he was the king, he would not be able to move like this. Yeah. Therefore, he was happy in Dwaraka, small little place. If you are looking at the kingdoms of the land at that time, Dwaraka was small, ruled over by his cousin, okay, and the other chieftains that were there. But he strode the length and breadth of this country. He bent the politics of the time to his will and set up an order there. Set up an order. Okay? That was Krishna. Nothing to gain. Nothing to gain. Loka Sangraha. And at the end, when all this, the adharmic, the whole thing had to be wiped out so that a new yuga can start, he was instrumental in that as well, in the Mahabharata war. In breaking down the whole structure that he had helped create actually. So that a new order, a new yuga will emerge after his time. Before a new yuga emerges, there has to be certain catastrophic events. That is Ishvara's order. And that also, that at that time was the Mahabharata war. 10% of the human population of that time were destroyed in that battle. I had to look for those papers. I have those papers somewhere where a student of mine has done research on this and seen, calculated projection based on what is the population of the country now, geometrically, arithmetically, looking at it to what would have been the population there, and 18 lakhs people perished in that war. So that, according to him, was 10% of the human population. Can you imagine 10% of the human population going on? Today we are about 7 billion. Imagine what it is. 70 lakhs people, huge. We are upset with the amount of people that have died with COVID. There is nothing compared to what happened in that war. Therefore, Krishna was there right through all of that. Nothing to gain himself. All Loka Sangraha only, including the change of an yuga. That is also part of the order. Okay? Therefore, here it is, he says, Sankarasya, it will become worse if I don't do anything. If I had not done, things will become worse than what it was. Okay. And then, here he gives you a nice direction to the whole thing. Saktaha karmani avidvamsaha yatha kurvanti bharata kuryad vidvamsaha tata saktaha chikirshuhu loka sangraham. A very beautiful verse, wonderful verse. He says, Yatha kurvanti, he Bharata, Bharata kulodbhavaha, Bharataha, he Bharata. Yatha kurvanti, like how they do. Who? Avidvamsaha, those who don't have any knowledge. Okay? How do they do action? Saktaha karmani kurvanti. Attached, dependent, waiting to get some joy out of that action. How do they do it? But with what enthusiasm they do. They're driven. Okay? That's what makes them the slaves. Okay? But with what enthusiasm they do an action, hoping to get some result. Look at the politicians during election time. Oh my God, how much work they put in. Only during election time, but they do it. How do others? How do industrialists work? How do any people who achieved anything? With what enthusiasm they work. Asaktaha kurvanti. 18 hours a day work. Asaktaha saktaha karmani kurvanti. With great attachment, but with great enthusiasm they do. Kuryat vidvamsaha. Let the wise people, let the informed people, in the same manner, let them also do. How? Asaktaha, not dependent on the result of those actions. Prasada buddhya, Ishwararpana buddhya, without being emotionally dependent on that, with this attitude of prasada buddhi and Ishwararpana buddhi, let you also do. But with the same degree of enthusiasm, etc. Not chalta hai jo hoega hoega. No. How? But why should they do it? Chikirshuhu loka sangraham. If you don't want anything out of yourself, loka sangraham chikirshuhu. Yeah, loka sangraham. If you want, in my life, I have seen two people who did this. Until their dying day. One was Swami Chinmayananji, already a wise person. In fact, when he told his guru as a young man, Swamiji, I am going to go down to teach people. Say, why are you wasting your time with those idiots? Tapovan Maharaj told him that. But he said, Swamiji, I need your blessings, I have to go. So Tapovan Maharaj said, okay. I said, इच्छा है तो कर लो, अच्छा ही है, अच्छा हो जाएगा, अच्छा ही हो जाएगा. So he came down, and I have seen him. His heart was compromised. Okay, by the time I got to know him well and things, he's already had multiple heart attacks and everything. I could see him in pain when he is walking up to the set to take a class. I could see that he was in pain. Pain lines were very evident on his face. But he would sit and take a class. He was roaring like a lion. He did that until his dying day. Same way, my Guru Puja Swami Dayanand Ji. Same thing. The last month of his life, he came to Rishikesh. He had gone to States to set up things in order there. And then he came to Rishikesh. He says, I will give up my body in Rishikesh and let my Samadhi be in Rishikesh. He did that. Says Rishikesh is a place where I made myself. Therefore, the ending also, I would like to be there. He came there. His heart was compromised. Lungs were not functional. His kidneys had failed him. Okay? His eyesight was affected. His hearing was affected. But he would tell, okay, tell the people, 10 o'clock I'm going to take a class. In that condition, you would actually get him in his stretchered bed and keep him in the hall. And he would teach. He couldn't talk properly. The lungs, because the lungs were compromised. And in that context, he would speak, he would teach using brevity in his language, in his words. First day I heard him, I said, this is not his old teaching, this is different. Then it struck me, and I told all my Guru Bhais there, who was there, hey, champs, listen, this is not meant for the general public, this is meant for us, because all of us here are his full-time students. Half the crowd are his full-time students who are teachers in their own right. Look at the way he is teaching, this is meant for us. So until the day he went, he was showing us how to teach, how to be, not only how to be elaborate and explain things in detail, but also to be brief in it, until his dying day. Phenomenal. I mean, these were people. What does he need? If that last month, if he had just sat in his room, just giving darshan to people, come, prostrate and go, people would have been very happy. Nobody would have cribbed. Loka Sangraham, I am a teacher all my life. Even on my deathbed, let me do something for the teachers under me. Phenomenal. What a man. What a man. There are some others, leaders also like this in the social political field today. I have known some of them. Okay, I have known some of them, but mentioning them here in this class, I know there are different political opinions in my class, and I don't wish to thrust my political opinion onto the people. Really speaking, in many ways I am not political. If I do anything, it is good for the country. I will support that or those people who I think, in my opinion, in my considered objective opinion, who are doing good for this country, not looting the country. Okay? And in that, there are a lot of people like that also working. Okay? With 4 hours sleep, 5 hours sleep, people have been working and doing things for the country. But because there can be controversies about that, I am not mentioning it in this class as of now. Tomorrow I may mention it. If I think it is necessary, I will. Today I don't think it is necessary, so I am not mentioning it. I am sure people know what I am referring to. Okay. Therefore, Vidvamsaha asaktaha san. With that sense of asaktaha, independence, emotional independence, etc. Emotional independence, etc. doesn't happen by chance. You need certain attitudes to bring it in, and that in the spirit of the Gita is Ishwararpanam and Prasada Buddhi. With this attitude you will do. No problems. No problems, he says. But with the same enthusiasm, etc., you will do. So let that happen, he says. And again, it looks like today's class will be all about social functioning, okay? As a digression from pure Vedanta, Krishna is talking like that. So when Krishna is talking like that, I am happy to go along with him, okay? Yeah. Na buddhi bedam janayet ajnanam karma sanghinam joshiye sarva karmani vidvan yukta samacharan. Na buddhi bedam janayet ajnanam karma sanghinam. Ajnaninam, those who are ignorant, don't know anything about Vedanta, don't know anything about Ishvara. Karma sanghinam, very attached to action. Why? I will do this, I will get that, I will do this, I will get that. They are running around like headless chickens, doing things. Jnanina karma sangyana. Tesham na buddhi bhedam janayed. Don't confuse them by talking of Vedanta to them. By karma you won't achieve moksha. They are not interested in moksha. They are interested in the small things of life. Okay? They are interested in the small things of life. Yeah. I know. Like I knew this couple, and the girl's self-esteem was tied to her being a mother. She wanted to be a mother. So what all she tried, she was married to this woman's son, and the woman used to come to my class. Okay, the mother-in-law would come to the class. But by normal process, they were not getting a child. So what all this girl was willing to put herself through, allopathic treatment, Ayurvedic treatment, Unani treatment, homeopathy, you name it. She would visit all Babajis, etc., except me, hoping for some way to get it. And my mother-in-law would say, Swamiji, you speak to her. That all this is not necessary in life. Rare mother-in-law, okay? Mother-in-laws normally want a grandchild. But this is it. I said, see, she will not be willing to listen to me. She is so longing for a child. Let her try. Finally, at the end of the day, when nothing works, if nothing works, I gave her some spiritual thing also. That also didn't work because Prarabdha is very strong. Then I will tell them about adoption. It's not the same, but okay. Not now. Let her try everything. Adoption also she did. But the Prarabdha was so strong that when the child became an adult, didn't want anything to do with the parents, the adopted parents. Strong Prarabdha, Prabala Prarabdha. So what he is saying is to such people, na buddhi bedam janaye, don't talk to them, karma is not going to give you fulfillment, a child is not going to give you fulfillment, you're seeking for fulfillment is Atma. They are not ready for it. It's like me, sometimes I get invited in my students' homes or my friends' home for a get-together when they are having a small party or a Christmas party, etc. And I go. And everybody is enjoying themselves. And I go in this dress. And someone asks me, Swamiji, tell us something about being spiritual. No? I'll say, you look at that bottle there. Look at the guy who's handling that. Go. He will give you some high spirits. Na buddhi bedam jari, that's not the time to talk Vedanta or in spiritual issues. Na buddhi bedam janayet ajnaninam karma sangyana. Okay. Then joshetu karmani. Joshet. Encourage them. Yes, do more. Let them learn by their experiences that karma will not deliver the goods. Joshetu karmani. Vidwan yuktaha samacharan. Whereas the Vidwan, yuktahasan, with this knowledge, samyak acharan. He lives a proper life of doing what is necessary, etc. He lives like that. Teach by example. Those who can learn will learn. Those who come to your class will learn. Others, it's okay. You can do some reaching out program. That because today the level of ignorance is so much that we need reaching out programs, etc. in the society, like how we've done our Vedic wisdom, etc. Those type of activities are necessary. That's a different thing. That you can do. But otherwise, na buddhi bhedam janayet. Teaching is different. You teach people who want to know. At least you have some curiosity to know, if not a great desire. That is a different thing. But we are talking about the others. Do not, it's an advice to all students of Vedanta. When you Vidwan, and this Vidwan need not be a Jivan Mukta, okay? Yeah. If he is a Jivan Mukta, all the more better. Yeah. This advice is also meant for the students who have first discovered the joy of Vedanta. When you start learning Vedanta and you discover, oh my God, there is so much in this, I never thought all this was before. Once you start discovering that, you want to convert everyone, you want to drag each and everyone possible to the class. Please don't try, you will be disappointed. Yeah, you can expose themselves, discuss some things with them once in a way. That's okay, but keep it to that. Don't become a missionary for Vedanta. Encouraging people to come is one thing. Being a missionary is another. Don't. You will get frustrated, nothing more will happen. Na buddhi vedam janet ajnaninam karma sangyanam. Reaching out through a camp, a class, public lectures, etc. is fine. That's fine. But don't be on a trip that I will get all my people whom I know to Vedanta. It will not happen, guaranteed. Yeah, guaranteed. We all have tried it. We know it doesn't work. So don't try too much. Yeah, give them a chance. Give them a chance to expose themselves. Invite them for a public program like a Vedic Wisdom Festival, which sounds. Why do you think we have purposely called it as Vedic Wisdom Festival? Because each session is independent. People can walk in. They are listening to different teachers. Walk in. There are something to satisfy everyone, but without compromising tradition. Therefore, for something like that, that's okay. That's okay. But more than that, no. Don't try to cajole and pressurize and push them to come to a class, even if they are your children. If they are your children, especially, don't. If you want your children to get influenced by all these things, call me home. I will swap jokes with them. I'll crack jokes with them, tell them stories about my sailing days, my adventures, etc. They'll think, "Arey yaar, this sadhu is something." That'll keep them open to this when they need to come to this. Many of my students whose children are exposed to me like that, they know what's about. That's enough. No more, nothing more necessary. Yeah. Nothing more necessary. Don't try more than that. Okay. Like if I am having a talk somewhere, there's an off talk, a general talk. Yeah. Send some of my general videos to them, for example. General videos, not class videos, okay? They are too serious for them. But something like what I have put up on my YouTube channel, The Hare and the Tortoise, sequels. Okay. Capsular and the Monkey is part 1, part 2. Things like that, and I will say, "Hi, the Swami is interesting. Maybe we should listen." Yeah. That much is okay. Nothing more. Nothing more. Okay? Yeah. Nothing more than that. Yes. Some of my general talk. Na buddhi vedam janayet. Okay? Because then you are creating confusion. Not any great passion for Vedanta. In fact, some of them may be turned off from Vedanta because of your over enthusiasm. So don't do it. Now from here. So any questions on these last 5-6 verses? They're very simple verses but important. Okay? 20th verse to now 26th verse. 7 verses. Any questions or clarifications? All clear? Somebody has asked a very interesting question. Because I said, if you are driven by your desires, you are a slave. So he's asking me a question. Is it better to live driven by a slave, as a slave, driven by your desires, or to live in lethargy, not doing anything, being a vegetable? Both are bad. Both are bad. Live a life of Karma Yogi. That's exactly what is necessary. That's exactly what is necessary. Yeah. You don't choose between lethargy and being driven like a slave. Yeah. What do you want? To be carrying around, running around like a mule with all the load on your back, or being a stubborn, pig-headed mule and lying down and not getting up? Both are bad. Both are bad. It's a Hobson's choice. It's a Hobson's choice. To be lazy like a water buffalo, or to run around like a headless chicken. Both are problematic, except for the water buffalo. That for them it is right. Okay. Yeah. For a human being, work consciously, in touch with your priorities, with the spirit of Karma Yoga, etc. Yeah. Do that. Yeah. Lethargy, nobody chooses lethargy. Okay. Yeah. If you run around like a headless chicken, of course you will end up with ulcers and heart attacks. That's all you'll end up with. Then from there, okay, he suddenly jumps back into the knowledge. Okay, it's Krishna Arumbo. This jumps. Prakritehe kriyamanani gunaihi karmani sarvashah ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. Prakritehi kriyamanaihi gunaihi. Prakritehi gunaihi. What is Prakriti? Prakriti is another name for Maya, made up of Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. There, the creation of Sattva, Rajas, Tamas is this body and mind of mine. Okay? Is this body and mind of mine. Therefore, Prakritehi gunaihi. The gunas of Prakriti, which is Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, and their derivatives, this body, the sense organs, my mind, etc. Kriyamanani karmani sarvashah. They are the ones who are doing all the action. Buddhya nischatya, decided by the head, by your intellect. Okay. Manasa sankalpya, desired by your mind, by your heart, by your emotions. Kayena karma karomi, by your body, you do actions. With desire prompted by emotions, decided, planned, etc. by your reasoning, and through your body you perform actions. But what does the person think? Ahankara vimudaha vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. Ahankarene vimudaha, deluded by the ahankara, I take myself to be the karta. I take myself to be the karta. Now look at it. What are you in the teaching of Vedanta? Pure consciousness free from all actions. But if you don't know that, you cannot help a self-judgment from happening. Why? Because wherever there is a mind, the consciousness will be manifest in the mind. First thought will be I. What I am, I don't know. Therefore, based on what I am associated with, body, mind, etc., and the people around me, I will make a self-judgment. This self-judgment, this concept I have about myself, is what we call ahankara. Tena vimuda. Now I am like this. I am like this only. What happened to me? Pure consciousness? Gaya. Not known in the beginning. At least previously there was something. Who am I? What am I? But now because of the self-judgment and conclusions, there is no question who am I also. Concluded this is me. Therefore, I am the one who is doing. I am the one who cannot doing. I am the one who is helpless, cannot do. I am the victim of other people's actions. My God, I am guilty. I have done so much of wrong things. Oh, I am proud. I have achieved so much. What have you achieved? Something. Yeah. Ahankarena vimuda kartaham iti manyate. Look at it. The limitless consciousness is taken to be a finite doer. And then the whole question comes, should I do, should I not do? Should I be lethargic? Should I be active? Should I be driven? Should I be a karma yogi? Should I take sannyasa? All this will come up naturally. Why? Because you have taken yourself to be a karta. Therefore, the solution to the problem is not in the lifestyles also. It is not because I am a karma yogi or a sannyasi I will gain moksha. No. The solution is only in terms of knowledge. Not in anything else. Not in anything else. Lifestyle, if lifestyle was freedom, it is easy. Wear the saffron robes, you are free. हो गया काम. वज्र होम कर लो. Wear the robes, walk away. It doesn't happen like that. All the problems start after that. I know so many for whom the problems started after that. Until then they were okay. After taking the robe, all the problems started. They thought they were giving up all the problems. No, all the problems started after that. Lifestyle is not the answer. Knowledge is the answer. Self-knowledge is the answer. Because ahankarena vimudhatma, your concept of yourself is deluding you. And when your identity is questioned or challenged, how upset you get. How upset you get. Why? Because someone challenged your identity, challenge your judgments, challenge your self-beliefs. You get upset about it. You'll argue until the cows come home. Why? This is me. You're challenging the core of what I am. Baba, I'm challenging what you are not. Yeah. Even in a class it happens, people get upset and walk away. Yeah. Is moksha the dissolution of the ahankara? A question has come up. No. This is a wrong concept that has been propagated by some writers, modern writers mainly, or as a technical expression used by one or two traditional writers. That dissolution of the ahankara is moksha. Especially when they deal with Kathopanishad and they talk about Yama, about Nachiketa going to Yamaloka to meet Yama, etc. They call it mystical death of the ahankara, etc. Nonsensical. There's nothing mystical about it. Now, look at it. The ahankara is a self-judgment that you make about yourself. Without that self-judgment, a notion of who you are. Basically, it's connected with your mind and body. When you say, I am a human being, that is ahankara. When I say, I am a yoga teacher, I am a Vedanta teacher, that is ahankara. When I say, I am a doctor, engineer, etc., ahankara. All this is ahankara. All this is ahankara speaking. Why? Because it is not all-pervading consciousness anyway. Now, therefore, ahankara is a notion you have about who you are. And this ahankara is supported by your ignorance, avidya of the self. The ahankara owes its existence to self-ignorance. Because without self-ignorance, this will not come up. Then, what is moksha? Gaining self-knowledge. Okay? So, when you gain self-knowledge, you will say, technically speaking, ahankara should go. You should remain only as consciousness. If you remain only as consciousness, how could Krishna teach? How could Vyasa write all the sutras? How could he teach? How could Shankara write those bhashyas? How could they teach? Because ahankara is not there. They should be what? Who are you? Sachidanandoham. What do you do? Akarta, bhokta. Are you talking? No. So you should not talk. Mauri ban ke baithna padega. But that is not the way. That's not the way of the world. Therefore, remember, ahankara is a consciousness manifest in the mind. As long as the mind is there, that manifestation will be there. Now the manifestation through a self-judgment can say, I am only this much. But when there is knowledge that I am the all-pervading consciousness, and what I call as my functioning I now is only the manifestation of what I am in my mind. When you understand that, we call that an enlightened being. There is still a functioning entity there. There is a functioning entity. That functioning entity, what other word are you going to use for it? The functioning entity, no? Why? Because the body is still there, because of prarabdha karma, body is there, mind is there. Mind is not killed off because you gain knowledge. In fact, in that mind there is knowledge born. In the mind which is shrouded by ignorance, there is knowledge born because of which the ignorance has gone. Therefore, the ahankara is not taken anymore as a real entity. It is taken only as a functional thing.
Mind is shrouded by.
If you have any question, ask a bit loudly. Yeah, when you are introducing yourself, you are saying it's ahankara. Correct. So, there is only a functioning entity there. There is no ignorance. Therefore, what is the functioning entity? The ahankara without self-ignorance. Who knows, I am really speaking limitless consciousness, now playing the role of so and so. Playing the role of so and so. Is this clear for people? Because some people have asked me privately, what is the ahankara, etc. Or is there a dissolution of the ahankara? There is no dissolution. It is like this. The only thing that is gone is ignorance about the ahankara is gone. So, how real you took the ahankara, that is gone. Is no more a real entity. Is only for functioning purposes it is there. It is like the dress that you are wearing. When you go to work, you dress in a particular way. Why? That's formal. That's formal dressing. Why? Because the role demands it. I am going to meet some clients, etc. Therefore, I have to be dressed formally. Similarly, the person who knows the truth wears the dress of ahankara to teach, to function. To teach, to function, etc. Because he also has to function in the world. Therefore, he wears the dress of ahankara. Okay? So, ahankara remains only that much. Just as a dress, as a role. But that doesn't mean when you think you have some understanding from tomorrow onwards, you say, who are you? Somebody comes and asks you, who are you? I am really speaking limited consciousness, but now playing the role of an engineer. Don't say that. Say you are an engineer, that's okay. Yeah, say that you are an engineer, it's all right. People understand. People who know will understand what you mean. People who don't know are comfortable with your answer, so don't worry. Keep it like that. Na buddhi vedam janayeti. Ajnaninam karma sangyana. Okay? All this clear up to now?
Yes, Swamiji.
Good. If it is clear, so good place to stop.
Yes, Swami.
A good place to stop. Okay? So we will not be having the Gita next Saturday. Next Saturday we meet at 5:30 for the Guru Purnima celebration. We have some things lined up. Normally we would have it live and preceded by some coffee and snacks and all. That unfortunately, since we are having a virtual class, that will be missing. That we will keep it when we can meet again. Okay? But the other part of it, in terms of the talks and the spiritual feast, the physical feast we will not have, but the spiritual feast we will have, all right. Okay? At least 3 speakers will be there and we will have that thing. Okay? So see you all next Saturday for the Purnima celebrations. Om Tat Sat.
Thank you very much, Swamiji.
Thank you, Swami. Pranam, Swamiji.
Thank you all. Enjoyed being